Okarun in his yokai form is probably the most iconic new-gen manga anime character, and his transformation fits his personality perfectly. But that form was lost when Okarun returned Turbo Granny's powers in chapter 165. Many readers, including myself, were very disappointed, even though we all knew that this moment would come. From the very beginning, the deal was that once Okarun got his golden balls back, he'd return Turbo Granny's powers. But even though it's been over a year since Okarun gave up his powers, his yokai form is too iconic to lose forever. These are my top 5 predictions on how Okarun could regain Turbo Granny's powers, ranked from worst to best. Each of these predictions are based on how another yokai power user got their powers. Starting with Acrobatic Silky. In this outcome, Okarun loses his aura and dies, but Turbo Granny gives him her aura to save his life. This is somewhat similar to how he first received her powers. But what I don't like about this idea is that Turbo Granny would die and be forgotten by everyone. It was very lucky that Acro Silky was able to achieve Nirvana. Ida just happened to be there to help Acro Silky relieve her grudges. Unless they defeated Count Saint Germain before Turbo Granny's died, I can't see how her grudges would be relieved. In previous chapters, it's been shown that Turbo Granny has some connection to him, and she hates him. But other than that, there's no proof that defeating him would allow her to achieve Nirvana anyway. Slimming down our chances further, it was thanks to Momo that Acro Silky could transfer her aura to Ida. But since Momo has no powers right now, that would be impossible. Turbo Granny has too much potential as a character to die anyway, so that's why this outcome is ranked last. I almost ranked this next one at number 1, but you'll see why I ranked it at spot number 2 instead. In outcome number 2, Okarun uses a Kozuka knife to regain Turbo Granny's powers. Count Saint Germain sends out powerful black paladins to steal Turbo Granny's powers. They succeed in stealing them, and then they get away. But Okarun and the gang go after the paladins to steal them back. They manage to take back the Kozuka knives, and in a split-second decision, Okarun applies the powers to himself. With Turbo Granny's powers, Okarun and the rest manage to beat the Black Paladins, and then they return Turbo Granny's powers back to her. Narratively, this doesn't make much sense. The only reason to have Okarun temporarily regain Turbo Granny's powers would be to serve as a sort of cameo or callback. If it wasn't for the alternative being the potential loss of Turbo Granny, I would have ranked this one last, because it all seems pretty pointless. Predictions 3 through 5 are where things get a lot cooler. There's less consequences, and there's more functionality. Zuma Unji, like Okarun, has yokai powers, but the way they received them is a little bit different. In this scenario, I imagine Okarun would gain powers in a similar way. However, because not much is known about the functionality of Zuma's powers, I'm going to have to make my own assumptions. Unji gets his powers from his deceased little brother, Futa, who died when he dropped his umbrella into a river and drowned. Futa granted Unji his power when a drowning child also fell into the river. Seeing Unji helpless, Futa lends him his power, and Unji saves the drowning child. My guess is that their bond as brothers is what allows them to connect and why Unji can use Futa's yokai abilities. Since Okarun and Turbo Granny have survived extreme challenges and even spent lots of time together as a family, I'm gonna say that bond counts as something to allow them to merge together, sort of like Unji and Futa do. I think spot number 3 is the perfect place for this scenario, because it's neither confirmed nor completely rejected in its likelihood. So that's why this earned spot number 3. Going back to the first chapters, Okarun is cursed again, but this time with his new spiritual knowledge, he's able to keep it in check. After Turbo Granny returns, she and Okarun get into trouble. Maybe they fight aliens, or they disturb another yokai. Maybe they go back to the musician portraits, so Turbo Granny can test Okarun's abilities. Either way, they both come to the conclusion that he was better off when he had her powers. Turbo Granny suggests that she could do something similar back when she cursed him, though he'd have to be able to handle the curse on his own. Okarun agrees, saying he doesn't care about the possible consequences. He just needs a boost that he's already familiar with. And so now he's able to transform like he used to, with all the same abilities. Except he can now access a new form, which is the one where he gets puffy grandma hair. Maybe this new transformation allows him to use new abilities, but I'll let you wonder about that for now. This way, he's pretty much the same as when he first had her powers. Because it's so straightforward and proven possible, this outcome earned spot number 4. But none of these outcomes earned their spot like number 5 did. And it's actually what led me to create this video in the first place, because I think it's just such a cool idea. What if Okarun and Turbo Granny teamed up like Evil Eye and Gigi? We've already seen them work together, and they were a great team. So why not Turbo Granny and Okarun? The only thing that I can think of that would make this not work is that Turbo Granny may not have much a reason to do this, but I do have a theory that would explain it. In Chapter 12, Turbo Granny said that the reason yokai go after humans is to obtain their life force. She said that they believe that by stealing life force, they can be resurrected. Of course, that most likely isn't true. But some humans do contain powerful life force, like Gigi, Momo, and Okarun. Okarun only gets this power because he gained yokai abilities, though. But in recent chapters, he has shown spiritual talent even without any yokai abilities. So his life force, or spiritual energy, should be stronger now. Evil Eye became stronger by possessing Gigi, a human with exceptional spiritual ability. So if Okarun and Turbo Granny combined like Gigi and Evil Eye, I wouldn't be surprised if their power increased as well. So in order to stop Count Saint Germain from stealing all paranormal objects and powers, as well as creating the ultimate yokai, Okarun and Turbo Granny team up. But what kind of abilities would they have? Well, since Evil Eye didn't have certain abilities before he possessed Gigi, like his cursed house or ball, the same thing might happen with Turbo Granny and Okarun. They would gain abilities that matched Turbo Granny's style. But since we don't know much about her backstory, we can't be sure what kind of powers she'd earn. Though I do think she would have some of her old powers, she would be able to use more of those, like those giant head versions of her she used in the tunnel. Or maybe the way she cursed Okarun, maybe she'd be able to use that to her advantage to like take control of the enemies to fight against the other enemies or something like that. I think the coolest thing about this is the potential that Okarun gains from this. Like how Momo has her Moe Moe Tri-Beam, or Gigi uses the power of Evil Eye to use the Evil Gun. And since Okarun has the Ogre Club and is able to channel his spiritual energy through that, the possibilities are endless. And that's pretty much it. That's the final prediction for this video. And it was really fun to make, though it did take me many weeks to edit and record it, because I just haven't been all that motivated to do it, and I've been really busy with other things. So yeah, I hope that the next video won't take so long to upload, because this really did take me like 2 months to make, between just writing it and then like weeks after I actually decided to start recording it. It was just a whole thing. I wasn't feeling very motivated. So I really hope that the next video will be out soon. Thank you for watching. All that I ask of you is that you comment your ideas, your thoughts, your opinions. How would you have ranked this differently if you would at all? And yeah, again, thanks for watching to the end. I have been recording late at night, so my performance hasn't been the best because I kind of have to tone it down and be quiet. But that's all for this video, and I do have plans for the next one, so hopefully I'll see you soon.